The number one freedom in America, the one that is more important than all of the others, and the one that is most foundational to our success, is the freedom of religion. In fact, it's the very first freedom mentioned in the Bill of Rights. You see, when the Constitution was passed, it was only passed with the provision that there would be a set of amendments tacked on to the end of it. And the Bill of Rights were the first amendments that were passed. And the very first freedom is the freedom of religion. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And you see, the men who wrote this document, who came up with this law, were very familiar with state-sponsored religions. At that time, most of the countries in Europe had state-sponsored religions. England had the Church of England, or the Anglicans. There were many Catholic countries where Catholicism was the state religion. And while some of those countries allowed other people to have the freedom to not be a part of that, there was very, very little freedom. In fact, people were required to pay a tax to the state religion, even if you didn't believe in the tax. People were required to follow certain religious observances and rituals because of that. In fact, if you look at the history of the Middle Ages, or even the beginning of America with the story of the Mayflower, people were leaving Europe because they were leaving places where there was no freedom of religion. You see, your religious beliefs are some of the most foundational core beliefs that you have. And when someone forces you to worship in a way that you think is wrong, or to worship a God that you don't even believe in, that creates a lot of anger. It creates a lot of frustration because your spirituality is so ingrained into who you are. And Congress said, you know what? We are not going to let our government pick a state-sponsored religion, whether it's Baptist, Methodist, Anglican, Catholicism. We're not doing it because it doesn't work. People should be able to be free to pick the religion that they want, to worship God in the way that they want, or even to not worship God. Many times people look back at the founding fathers and think they were all Bible-thumping Christians. And while many of the men who helped write the Constitution and the Bill of Rights were ordained ministers, there were several atheists among them. Thomas Jefferson was probably not a Christian. He didn't really believe in God. Many of them were deists, where they believed God made things and then he just left. Okay, so the idea of the freedom of religion here in the Constitution is that the government cannot establish a certain religion and force everyone to follow it. But they also cannot prohibit the free exercise of that religion. And we've got a lot of debate going on now as far as prayers in school or 10 Commandments up in courtrooms. And while I'm not going to dive into that and tell you exactly what I think, I want you to look at what the Constitution says and you decide what is right and what is wrong. Okay, the government says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, so that means I go to church on Saturday. Many people in America, in fact, the majority of Christians in America, they go to church on Sunday. And what this Bill of Rights is saying is that the government can't mandate the day we go to worship on. It can't say, you know what, everyone needs to go on Monday because we want a longer weekend. It can't do that. But it also can't prohibit the free exercise of it. It can't say, you cannot go to church on a Monday. I mean, I might lose business because of it. I might lose friends because of it, but the government cannot say, I cannot go to church on Monday or Saturday. They can't do that. Some of us believe in baptizing our children at a young age. Others of us want to wait till they're teenagers. Some of us believe in our religion, you're not supposed to drink alcohol. Others think, hey, communion, it's alcoholic wine, you need to drink it. The government can't tell us what we can and can't do. It can't say everyone has to be this religion. It can't say no one can do this. That's why in our country, we want to give freedom to people who believe differently than the majority. So if someone believes in Buddhism or Islam, if they want to worship their way, we need to allow them to worship their way. But we cannot allow any one group to dictate the behavior of another group. And this is where, on both sides, we have some conservatives who are saying, no, we have to impose our religious views on everyone else, otherwise God will punish us. That's typically a right-wing argument. On the left side, you have very much the opposite, where kids are getting in trouble for even praying in school. And they're saying, no, this is a public school, you cannot even pray here. And I believe that gets a little bit on the prohibiting the free exercise clause, and that is wrong. But either way, we need to look at the freedom of religion. And one of the reasons why this is so important is because this is how religion works. Okay, spirituality that is not free is not spirituality. Religion that is forced is not pure religion. And so in our own lives, we need to realize that God is not a religious dictator. God is not the Pope who says, if you don't agree with me, you're going to hell. If you agree with me, then I'll give you blessings. God doesn't work that way. There's so many verses in the Bible where it says where the law of the Lord is, there is liberty. Where, God gives us the freedom to choose or to reject him. And true religion has to have freedom. And right now, one of the strengths of America is that we give people the freedom to worship God or to not worship God, to go to church or to not go to church. People can do that. And if we ever swing too far to where we tell people where they can't go to church, or we tell people where they have to go on a certain day, then we take the freedom away from religion. And when that happens, we're attacking one of the deepest bedrock foundations of what makes America a great place to live. And so I want to encourage you today to respect the freedom of others, to value the freedom that you have, and to realize that God has set you free so that you can serve him, not as a slave, but as a friend. God bless you, and God bless America.